Hi, I'm Catherine from Arizona. Please like and subscribe. When I was born, my parents were very young. Dad was an inventor and Mom was an aspiring model. Mom spent most of her time at auditions and fancy parties, while Dad and I stayed home in his lab. The two of us would go from business to business trying to sell Dad's inventions, but no one ever bought anything. I love that Dad let me help with his experiments, even though I was clumsy. Like once when I was 7, I tripped over my shoelace and ended up spilling some beakers, and the whole lab stank of rotten eggs. Nobody could pass by our house for a week without gagging. Another time, I left a burner on the lab and went to the park, and by the time I returned, I found a fire brigade outside the house. Mom was furious when she came home, but Dad always had my back. He was the sweetest, but Mom fought with him over everything, especially the fact that he didn't make enough money. And then one day, Mom just left with her new friend. Dad said she was going on a business trip and would be back soon. Well, Mom never came back, and Dad did his best to keep me happy. Once when I was 9, we were at the supermarket and Dad picked up the last bag of marshmallows when suddenly a lady started yelling at him.
Hey, I was about to take that. Give that to me.
Ma'am, I picked them up first. So what? I saw them first. Don't you have any manners? It's ladies first. Dad gave the bag to her, but I was furious. He was just too nice, and I had to protect him. Plus, there were marshmallows on the line. I acted nice and offered the lady some gum. And seconds later, the witch started to scream. It was a spicy gum that made your mouth feel like it's on fire for 10 hours. One of my favorite inventions. Dad and I kept working together, and by the time I was 12, we had developed something spectacular. He sold our invention to a huge corporation, and overnight, we became millionaires. We moved into a huge house, and Dad started his own company. But I couldn't help noticing that sometimes he was really sad. What's wrong, Dad? Nothing, honey. I'm totally fine. Then one day, a magazine named him the city's most eligible bachelor, and suddenly, he was going on dates every weekend. I was jealous. For so long, it had been just the two of us, but Dad seemed happier. Dad had always homeschooled me, but now he was too busy. So I started school for the first time in 9th grade. We had a test in science class soon, and I turned in my exam in 5 minutes and got all the answers right. My teacher, Mr. Johnson, swore I cheated. I didn't cheat. I studied the chapter last night. I stood up and recited everything from the chapter word for word. Mr. Johnson was stunned and immediately apologized. After that, he was much nicer to me and even asked me to assist in class. Soon, I was even tutoring kids after school, and people called me a genius. Everyone loved me, except for a kid named Gabe. Gabe and I had competed against each other on the school's debate team. Every time I came in first, and he came in second. Later that year, Gabe and I competed in the science fair. The teachers were really impressed with Gabe's project. That is, until they saw mine. I won first place, and Gabe came in second. You think you're so awesome, don't you? Well, you're not. Things are just easy for spoiled brats like you. Excuse me? You heard me. You're a billionaire's daughter. You have everything handed to you. People only love you because of your money. Your dad probably buys you the first prize every time. I didn't want to admit it, but his words did hurt. I knew Dad gave a lot of donations to my school. Did everyone just like me because of my father? A few nights later, Dad brought home a pretty blonde woman. Catherine, this is Layla. She's my new friend. The next thing I knew, Layla had moved into our house. Dad was head over heels for her. He showered her with gifts and followed her around like a lovesick puppy. Ew, can you two get a room? Layla was the worst. First, she threw out all my favorite foods, she painted my room bright pink, and on one occasion, she dragged me out of the lab to take me to her stylist. You're such a pretty girl. Don't hide your face with all that hair and baggy clothes. Wow, honey, you look like a clown. Layla is the worst. Don't be rude. She's just trying to help. She's ruining everything. After a while, I hardly recognized our house anymore, and Dad spent all his free time taking Layla shopping and on romantic getaways. I didn't trust her one bit. She was probably just after his money. But it didn't matter what I thought, because soon, Dad and Layla were married. A few months later, while Dad was away on a business trip, I woke up at night to get water when I found Layla talking outside with a man in a hoodie. The two argued for a while, then she hugged and kissed him. I saw her coming back in and ran upstairs. What? The next morning, Dad was back and I found him with Layla in the kitchen. Good morning. I made your favorite pancakes. What's the matter, honey? Is something wrong?
Yes, it is. I saw Layla with a strange man last night. She kissed him.
What? Kat, are you sure you're okay? I was out like a light last night. It was probably just a dream, silly.
I felt like an idiot. Layla just lied to Dad's face, and he was too love-struck to believe me.
A few weeks later, Dad went on another business trip, and at 2 a.m. in the morning, I heard a strange man whispering with Layla in her bedroom. I was pissed. I grabbed my cell phone. This time, I'd get evidence. I crept towards their room. The door was closed, but I could hear the man's voice through the walls. I pressed record and sent the audio to Dad. The next morning when Dad returned, he and Layla confronted me. Are you spying on Layla?
Dad, she's cheating on you. I sent you the evidence.
I left the television on, Kat. That's what you heard. I love your dad. I'd never cheat on him.
That wasn't the television. It was another man, I swear. She's a liar.
I am so disappointed in you, Catherine. She's done nothing but be nice to you, and you've treated her horribly. You need to accept that Layla and I are together, and your lies won't change that.
Dad grounded me for a week.
After that, I didn't say a word about Layla's late-night excursions. If Dad wanted to be with a cheater, so be it. I focused on school and preparing for the next big debate competition, but I noticed that Gabe wasn't there. He wasn't my favorite person, but I started to worry when a few weeks passed and none of the teachers or students knew why he was absent. Then I remembered that Gabe worked at a local deli after school. One afternoon, I decided to stop by the deli. I saw Gabe at the counter looking like he hadn't slept in days.
Gabe, are you okay?
What are you doing here?
I was just worried about you. I brought you the homework you missed from class.
Why are you being nice to me? No one's ever nice to me.
You might be my nemesis, but I still care. Suddenly, Gabe burst into tears. He told me about how his mom was sick and he was working day and night to pay for a special surgery she needed.
I'm scared I won't be able to raise enough money in time.
I can give you the money.
I don't want your charity.
It's not charity. Consider it an investment. Competing with you keeps me on my toes. Gabe accepted the money, and a week later, he ran up to me and gave me the biggest hug. Whoa, I can hardly breathe, buddy.
Mom's surgery was a success, and it's all thanks to you. Also, I'm sorry, Catherine. It's not true that you win everything because you're rich. You're just better than me, and I know that.
Soon, Gabe and I started spending all our time together. We studied together every day, texted late into the night, and sent each other our favorite MSA videos. I was happy being at his place anyway because I wanted to avoid Dad and Layla as much as I could. One day as we were walking home, he was unusually quiet. What's wrong? You look like you swallowed a lemon.
I don't know how to say this, but I was thinking, just contemplating if maybe you would consider or like to,
Just spit it out, man.
Do you want to go with me to the winter dance?
Oh, I don't know. That might not be such a good idea.
It's okay, I get it. You'd rather go with some rich, cool guy, not a poor nerd like me.
No, I don't care how much money you have, and we're both nerds, duh. It's just that I'm a horrible dancer. I'd probably embarrass you.
You'd never embarrass me, Catherine. You're perfect.
Then Gabe kissed me, and it was so romantic. That weekend, Gabe came to pick me up in his mom's car for the dance. Gabe walked up to Dad to meet him, but Dad ignored him and pulled me to the side.
Are you sure you want to go out with this boy? He drives that piece of junk, and it looks like he pulled out his suit from the trash.
Dad, what is wrong with you? I like him. He's a sweet guy. And since when do you care about how much money someone has? You were never this way before. Not until you met Layla.
Don't drag Layla into this. You're my daughter, and you deserve better than a poor loser.
You're being impossible. Let's go, Gabe. Gabe and I had a blast at the winter dance, and we officially started dating. I started inviting Gabe over to my house, and thankfully, Dad didn't create a fuss again. He even tried to be pleasant to Gabe, and I was sure he felt sorry for his behavior. One day, Gabe and I were studying a math test in the kitchen when Gabe excused himself to go to the restroom. He came back a few minutes later, and then Dad stormed into the room.
You thief! What? What's going on? Honey, calm down. I saw him roaming through the house near my study, and now my wallet's gone. I know he took it. No, I didn't. I swear.
Dad grabbed Gabe's backpack and tossed its contents onto the floor. Then he made Gabe turn out his pockets, which were empty.
I know you stole my wallet. Where is it?
Stop it! Leave him alone! Gabe ran out of the house terrified. I didn't speak to Dad or Layla for the rest of the night. The next morning, I tried apologizing to Gabe.
We need to break up. Your father hates me.
No, Gabe, we can make this work.
No, we can't. You're a millionaire and I'm poor. Your dad'll never accept me. I love you, Catherine, but I can't do this. I have my pride too.
After that, Gabe didn't speak to me again. He blocked my calls, and when I went to his house, his mom said he didn't want to see me. Days passed and I focused on my studies, but I still missed Gabe and felt so angry.
Catherine, your father is upset that you've been ignoring him completely.
He didn't mean what he said about Gabe. The things aren't always what they seem. He's been under a lot of pressure at work, and I don't care about your excuses, Layla. All I know is that my dad was amazing and we were happy till you came along, and now he's changed and everything's awful. A few weeks later, Dad and Layla had their anniversary, and Dad made dinner reservations for us at a fancy restaurant. I said I didn't want to go, but Dad looked upset, so I reluctantly agreed. I was getting ready and decided to wear my favorite diamond necklace, which was in Dad's safe. I went into Dad's office and opened his safe, and inside there were suitcases full of money, stacks of gold bars, and duffel bags full of diamond jewelry. But then my eyes wandered to the table, to Dad's lost wallet, and next to it were some newspaper clippings that made my blood run cold. They were all from unsolved bank robberies with pictures of the masked robber. I examined the photos, and one of them had a close-up of the robber's neck, and the birthmark on it. It was just like my dad's. Dad?
What's wrong, honey?
I showed Dad the newspaper clippings. This is you? How could you do this?
What? No, I don't understand. This can't be. I didn't.
Then Dad fainted and hit his head. Layla called the ambulance and Dad was rushed to the hospital. I sat in the waiting room while Layla spoke to the doctors. Then she asked me to come into Dad's room.
Layla and I have been keeping a secret from you. I have dissociative identity disorder, also known as a split personality. I struggled with it when I was younger, and I had it under control for years.
I was his psychiatrist and fell in love with him. He was good for a while, but then his condition got worse. That was your dad in the hoodie outside the house that night, and he was the one you heard in the bedroom. He was supposed to be out of town getting treatment, but both times, he came home acting strange and saying things that didn't make sense. He didn't ever let me tell you because he didn't want you to worry.
I have no memories of the robberies, Kat, I swear. I didn't know things had gotten that bad. I'm so sorry, honey.
I hugged my dad and Layla. I felt so bad for Dad and for how I'd treated Layla. Dad was released from the hospital. The judge decided not to press charges for his crimes, but ordered him into therapy, and we returned all the stolen goods. Layla and I supported Dad through his treatment, and a few months later, the doctors released him from the psychiatric facility. And over this time, Layla and I grew closer. One day, when I got home from school, I opened the door to see Gabe and my father standing inside.
Layla told me I chased your friend away, and I've apologized for how I treated him. I'm sorry for the pain I've caused you both. I would never stand in the way of your happiness, Kat.
Thank you, Dad. Gabe rushed over to me and kissed me, and from then on, he never let me go.